Everyone, welcome to our Gita Wisdom class with Lakshmi on this day. So whenever there is a great need, a dire need, like in this particular instance, Krishna has come, and what is the dire need? Why is Krishna uh, required? Why is his presence required? Because there was a burden, or rather an overburden of kings who were not following Dharma. They were adharmic kings, and the result of having that much adharma would be suffering, increased suffering for the common man. So one of the reasons that Krishna comes, he tells in the Bhagavad Gita, I come, I perform activities for someone who is a bhakti yogi. Just hearing these activities is their sadhana. To hear the names, the pastimes, the qualities, the nama, the name, rupa, the form, to see my form, guna, the qualities, lila, my pastimes. This is the bhakti yoga sadhana. So Krishna comes for the great sages, the saints, the devotees, but he also comes paritanaya sadhanam for the sadhus, vinashaya cha duskritam. And he comes also to relieve the earth planet of this overburden of adharmic kings who are causing so much difficulty for the citizenry. And that's why, even though Arjuna was giving so many reasons as to why he should not fight, Krishna doesn't accept any of those reasons as being valid. They may, from a material estimation, have some validity, but from an overall estimation, they are not valid. So, and Krishna will describe in these upcoming verses why he considers them invalid. Huh? Okay. So, another thing to note about this ninth verse is the names that are used in relationship to the personalities. For instance, Arjuna is addressed in different ways. In this particular verse, he's addressed as Parantapa, scorcher of the enemies, and he's also addressed as Gudakesh, which means one who is conquered over sleep. And Krishna is addressed in two different ways also. Rishikesh, which means the controller of the senses, of all senses. He's the master of all senses. And he's also referred to as Govinda, the pleaser of the senses and the maintainer of the cows. So these particular names at different junctures of the Bhagavad Gita have some relevance. So mostly in relationship to Arjuna, he's given these different names as a reminder of the nobility he comes from, the lineage that he comes from. So when Krishna wants to, wake him up to the fact that he is a noble warrior, nobility from his birth line, and Kshatriya is his dharma, his work line. That's what he does. And Kshatriya means to protect others from harm. So when Krishna gives Arjuna these particular names during the course of their discussions, and vice versa, Arjuna addresses Krishna as, for instance, Madhusudana, which means the killer of the Madhu demon, or Arisudana, which means the killer of the enemy. This is to underscore the fact that Krishna is the killer of doubt. When we have doubt, and that doubt goes unsatisfied, unrecognized, or not dealt with, then the doubt can be the source of bewilderment. But doubt can also, I think Joanna made a very nice point when she wrote me a question, or at least not a question, an observation. She said doubt can be also a good thing. And that's right, because if you doubt, then what will relinquish that doubt? Knowledge. Knowledge is what relinquishes that doubt. So he was setting up the tone of the Bhagavad Gita by expressing his doubt so that Krishna could deliver this knowledge so that our doubt can be dealt with. In other words, when we are dealing with our life's challenges, whatever they may be, when we have those challenges, when doubts arise in our psyche, then we can always turn to the Bhagavad Gita, this universal wisdom, this universal truth. And that's what Mahatma Gandhi said about the Bhagavad Gita. You know, in my time of doubt and in my time of consternation, I open the Bhagavad Gita randomly to a particular verse, and I'm able to read that verse and receive some knowledge and some relief from the doubt and the challenges that I'm experiencing. So I want to drive that point home. Bhagavad Gita is not just a book, a Hindu book. It's way beyond being a Hindu book, but it is a book, a sacred text of universal wisdom that can be applied to anyone of any culture, any ethnicity, and because beyond the cultural conditioning that we have and the ethnicity and the place of birth and all the gender, beyond all of that is what Krishna is going to talk about in these upcoming verses, that we're not that. We are something more than that. We are consciousness, pure consciousness. We are pure spirit soul, which is motivating the external world, the external elements, our body, etc. It's only our motivation, our movement, our ability to be aware of things around us is due to the presence of the spirit soul. So Krishna is going to make that distinction very nicely these upcoming verses. This is verse 10. Again, he uses a name for Krishna, Rishikesh, the master of senses. O descendant of Bharata, at that time, Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. So what do we have here? We have, O descendant of Bharata, a reminder of the greatness and the nobility of the lineage that Arjuna and his family comes from. At that time, Krishna smiling. Now, this has perplexed people through the course of ages. Why is Krishna smiling at his friend? You know, because he's experiencing some great suffering. He's depressed. He's suffering so much by seeing the circumstance and assessing the circumstance. He's seeing his friends, his family members, his teachers lined before him. When he asks Krishna to pull the chariot in between the two opposing armies, Krishna does it in such a way that he puts him right in front of the most significant people in his life that he has to fight. Bhishma, grandfather Bhishma, Dronacharya, the teacher, his cousins, Duryodhana, Dushashana, and the other 98 cousins, and uncles and friends, and so many different personalities are there. And Krishna puts them right in front of them and he shows them, this is who you have to fight. So the question arises, why is Krishna smiling? Here he is. His friend is, what is the word that's used here? Uh, grief stricken, or in Sanskrit, it's Vishidantam. He's grief stricken Arjuna. Krishna is smiling at him. So we'll explain why he's smiling, because he understands that this is illusion. Arjuna, this is not you. You are of noble birth. You are noble heart. You're a warrior. Yet you're being um, cast into this illusion of doubt and lamentation and all of these negative qualities that are there. In the Vedas, it's described that there are 10 general states of mind that, or psyche that a human being could go through. And it's described as kama or lust, sankalpa, imagination, vichikitsa, vi, vichik, vichikitsa, vichikitsa, doubt, it's a state of mind, shraddha, attention, ashraddha, negligence, driti, resolution, adriti, wavering, lajja, shame, dhi, devotion, and 10, bhiti, fear. So these are 10 states of mind, that general states of mind that we can experience. Now you can see some of them are positive states of mind. For instance, attention, resolution, devotion. Those are positive states of mind. And then there are negative, questionable states of the mind, doubt. But as we discussed, thanks to the question by Joanna, doubt can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending how it's used. Wavering, shame, fear. So these are different states of mind. So Arjuna is in the state of mind, which is doubt, lamentation, and ultimately dejection. He's feeling dejected or saddened or depressed. So he's going through these different states of mind, and Krishna is smiling at that. Why is he smiling at that? We look at text 11. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna says, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who see, those who are wise, lament neither for the living nor for the dead. So the smile on Krishna's face is like, it's kind of like, tisk tisk. Why? This is not you. This is not behavior which is becoming of a personality such as yourself, Arjuna. So we can understand it's only due to illusion. Sometimes we behave in different ways that are really not who we really are. We may at the time be influenced by anger. We may at the time be influenced by fear. We may at the time be influenced by confusion. And, all these different states of mind may cause us to act in a way that's not who we really are. We will adopt another kind of persona, which is one that is influenced by a temporary state of mind. So this is what Krishna is saying. This is a temporary state of mind that you're experiencing. And this is due why? Because of your attachment to your family. Now, is attachment to the family a good thing or a bad thing? It's a good thing when the attachment allows you to see their best interest at all times. The attachment that is debilitating is when it confuses you, it bewilders you, when it actually covers your intelligence. So, attachment, when it is under the illusion that, this is mine, like it produces a possessive state of mind. This is mine. I am this, I am body, I am white body, I am black body, I am male, I am female, etc. All the temporary designations that come along with the body, that this kind of attachment causes dejection, is the cause of dejection, because it's the kind of attachment that creates avidya, or knowledge, or forgetfulness. And in this state of forgetfulness, we become sad and dejected. So, what is Krishna doing right now? He's dealing with the root cause of Arjuna's dejection, and that is his attachment to in a to the temporary. There's a nice verse there, upcoming verse, three or four more verses, where Krishna describes the difference between what is temporary and what is eternal, and that what is eternal is our nature. What is temporary is just something that we adopt for a brief period of time, which is not us, but is something that we temporarily adopt. So when we have attachment that to the eternal, and that affects everything that we do and all of our relationships, we see with that perspective. We do not, there's a nice, I think it's Babylonian statement. We do not see things as they are. We see things as we are. So if we are under the illusion that we're the body, we are seeing everybody as their body. And part of the illusion that develops from that mindset is, we have this distinction of I and mine. I am this, and this is mine, this possessiveness. And this mamatva, this possessiveness, is actually the cause of our dejection. So Krishna is not discouraging him from being attached to his duty, for instance, as a warrior, as a kshatriya, because this dharma, performance of one's dharma, is actually leads one on the path to liberation. Rejection of one's dharma, that's called adharma, lead one to further and further illusion. And dharma also has to contain the element of compassion and love. Krishna says in the Mahabharata, Dharma without compassion and love is really not Dharma at all. So it's not just mechanical or robotic duty that he's talking about in Dharma. It's not like mechanically, Arjuna, you are Kshatriya, you are a warrior, but also your Dharma infused with love, love for humanity, love for your relatives, love for all creatures, that sense of responsibility, that is real Dharma. And if it's not, if it's mechanical, oh, I must do it because this is what it says in the book of Dharma. You have to act like this. And Arjuna is thinking like that. He's thinking, oh, compassion means to not to fight. That's compassion. To not be sinful means I can't fight and I can't kill. If I destroy the family, if I kill the father in battle, oh, that's adharmic. And all of these things are misapplied understandings of what real dharma actually is. So Arjuna is being encouraged here, and he's even being a little bit ridiculed by Krishna. Krishna is taking his Krishna has accepted the position of being his teacher. They're friends, they're close friends, confidential friends. But because Arjuna has admitted what his dilemma is, it's almost like, being in denial. I remember when my father got ill, he didn't like doctors. So he started experiencing some symptoms. And because he didn't like doctors, he never went to a doctor to examine what is going on. Something happens, like for instance, in his case, he couldn't swallow. So rather than saying, "Oh, I can't swallow, this might be a symptom of something. Let me go have it checked out." And so he just denied it. And he died a year later from esophageal cancer. So when you go into denial, then you really can't seek the cure. So if you are in a particular situation and you are going into denial about your situation, then is it possible that I'm under illusion? Is it possible that I'm misunderstanding and misinterpreting the situation. And, my perspective is more a perspective as a reflection or a projection of where I'm at rather than the reality of the situation. That's what that verse means. We see things not as they are, but as we are. So if I'm under an illusion, quite naturally, I project out that illusion. If I'm deceiving myself, quite naturally, I can project out to others that self-deception. Oh, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm really, really happy. Yeah, I did it. I'm not bothered by anything. Yeah, we can project out that particular mindset because that's the way we want to see rather than seeing in truth. So Krishna is saying, Arjuna, you're in denial. So the only way that Arjuna could get any kind of insight, any kind of perspective to where he was really at was to understand he was bewildered. He was confused. Oh, Govinda, I shall not fight. And he drops his bow. Now Arjuna took a vow he'd never show his back to his enemy, and he never did. So to be on that level, that's not who he is, and he has to recognize this. Yeah, I'm thinking, I'm behaving in such a way that is not really me. So how do I wake up? Jeev Jago, wake up, sleeping soul. You're sleeping in the lap of the witch called Maya. How do we wake up from that situation? We go on and on and on throughout the course of our life, trying to endlessly adjust our situation that we're comfortable, so that we're comfortable, rather than recognizing real comfort comes from within. Real santosh or contentment comes from within. The changing world around us and our interaction with that ever-changing, mutable world is not going to be the source of the contentment that we are seeking in our life. It's like my wife was born on a farm in Uzbekistan. Our family's originally from Kazakhstan, but they moved to Uzbekistan and they got a farm. I think it was like 80 acres, and they had fruit orchards and they grew all kinds of crops and they had sheep and goat and cows and horses and everything. And sheep, you know, they're out in the field and they're grazing. And then when the shepherd comes to take a sheep and slaughter the sheep, immediately the reaction of the other sheep is they kind of they kind of get scared. And then the shepherd slaughters the one sheep and takes it away. And then they go back to grazing in the grass like nothing happened. So things are occurring, different things are occurring to us that should serve as a wake-up call to what is the proper utilization of human life. How are we separate and distinct from all other species of life? What are we endowed with? What are we blessed with that is separating us from all other species of life? And that's the ability to reason, to see things and from a perspective that is beyond, that is broader than just the immediate that we're experiencing. So Arjuna was not seeing things from the broader transcendental perspective, but rather from the limited, attached perspective. And Krishna wanted to wake him up. So he says, while speaking learned words, so you're sounding logical and you're sounding learned, but in reality, when you put your words into perspective of what's really going on, they're not learned at all. And that's why Krishna is smiling. You're hearing yourself as very wise, but really you're not espousing wisdom. What is wisdom? Wisdom, according to the Bhagavad Gita, is very simple. It's the understanding of the distinction between matter and spirit. That's wisdom. You can have all the degrees that you want, but that doesn't necessarily you're going to be a wise person, that you're going to see life, human life, for what it's for its real value. So wisdom, according to Krishna in the Gita, is understanding this distinction between matter and spirit. And that's why he said it's not worthy of grief. The bodies are temporary. There's a thing called destiny. All of these warriors are destined to be here and to experience their fate. And there's nothing that you can do, Arjuna, to change their destiny. It's that simple. They all come in with their karmic reactions and what they have to experience, either individually or collectively. Collectively, if you're on an airplane and the airplane crashes, then that's called collective karma. Everybody on that plane is experiencing the same kind of result. That's called collective karma. Individually karma is when you personally experience something, some kind of reaction, either positive or negative or otherwise, that is causing, the happiness or the distress that you're experiencing at that particular time. So it's not worthy of grief. You leave the battlefield, Arjuna, you walk away from your dharma, and it doesn't spare a single soul. So that is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. You ever see a a funeral procession in New Orleans? Have any of you ever seen that, either in film or actually been there? It's like a joyous occasion. They're playing instruments, they're dancing, etc. And also, I believe in Irish culture, it's the same thing. It's like a joyous event. And in the culture of devotion, bhakti culture, it's the same thing when we have a celebration of someone's departure. One of the things that we do is read the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Why? To remind us that the person who has departed is not obliterated, is not extinguished. They're not a flame that has been extinguished by the wind of time, by the breeze of time, but they're eternal souls that are going on to their next destination. And that gives us some consolation when we understand. That's why in the Bhakti Yoga tradition, we read the second chapter, and that's why it has relevance to us right now. So then Krishna continues. Text 12 is like where he begins to get into distinction of matter and spirit. He begins to define, because as I said, this is a Sankhya Yoga chapter. It's the analysis chapter. It's the contents of the Gita in summary form in this chapter. Now he begins to break down. This is body, body mind. When I say body, I also mean body mind complex. That which we are temporarily using, as opposed to our essential nature, consciousness, which is not of the body. Consciousness motivates the body, but it's not of the body. Consciousness is actually coming from the soul. So Krishna wants us to understand that distinction. And why? Wisdom. What does wisdom do? It extinguishes the doubt that Arjuna is experiencing, the confusion which causes from that doubt. And when that doubt is extinguished, when we're brought to a mentality of clarity, then we can see things as they are rather than as we are in our state of doubt or a state of confusion or any one of the different mindsets that I'm talking about, the negative mindsets, lamentation, etc. So that's why Krishna says, this is not worthy to lament. You should understand they are moving on in their journey. They are not being extinguished like a flame, but they are simply moving on in their journey. And what to speak of those who die in the presence of Bhagavan, of the Supreme? The whole goal of Bhakti Yoga is at the time of death to be in the presence of the Supreme. That is Bhakti Yoga meditation, is to be able at every moment of one's existence in this body to be in the presence of the Supreme. Krishna says that in the 8th chapter, that we have to fix our minds at the time of death, because the thought process, what we're remembering, is actually, it catapults us to our next destination. You see, that is the uh, reason for performance of sadhana. Repetition, constant repeating over a long period of time, our meditation on the Supreme, whether it be through nama, name, or rupa, meditating on the form of the Supreme, guna, the qualities, or lila, the various activities that God performs when he advents into this world. That's the whole meaning of avatar. Avatar means one who descends, that the Supreme comes at different times, in different places, accordingly, so that we can actually have an alambana, an object of meditation. So the object of meditation in the Bhakti Yoga system, as depicted in the Bhagavad Gita, is meditation on the name of the Supreme, on the form of the Supreme, on the qualities, the characteristics, the attributes of the Supreme, and, and on the pastimes, the activities. So Krishna is giving us now this understanding. Text 12 reads as follows. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, Arjuna, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So herein Krishna begins to describe who we really are. He says, when I, Krishna, did not exist, there is no time that I do not exist. I am not extinguished by the breeze of time. I always am, always will be, and always have been. Nor you, Arjuna. And Arjuna is kind of like the everyman. So Krishna is speaking to us. Nor you, Sri Hari, Victor, Gunarupani, Shamamayi, Trish, Joanna, Anuradha, nor you. You've always existed. So what is the importance of this verse? Krishna is giving us insight to the fact that A, we are eternal, and B, we are individual. And individuality is not tied into our body. The individuality is tied into the very core of our existence, who we are as soul, Atma, Jiva. That is the individuality. That soul is individual. And that individual soul, as it traverses from body to body, like in the next verse, you'll hear what Krishna says, that individual consciousness. And that's why it's an evolution of consciousness. It's a development of consciousness. Because ultimately, being here in this world is for our betterment, for our development, for our evolution back to our true spiritual nature eternally. This world that we're in, the material world, is just a temporary place. It's like when you lease an apartment, right? You have a lease. What does it say on the lease? It's a 1 year lease, or it's a 2 year lease, or it's a 5 year lease. There is a time limit to your presence in that apartment. So we are leasing this body, and the lease has been drawn up by our karma. Why are we man? Why are we woman? Why are we born where we were born in a particular state of mind? All the various attributes that make us who we are, both psychologically and physically, in the family that we're in the country that we're in the socioeconomic status that we're in. All of these are definite a result of the karma that we have accrued while making our journey through this world. This world is meant as a place to teach us that we're not of this world. It's to teach us that our real place is that place which is identical with our eternal nature. Our eternal nature in Sanskrit is Sat, Chit, and Ananda, eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So that is the nature of the soul, and our real residence, so to speak, has the same qualification. It's an eternal, full of knowledge, fully cognizant, blissful environment that we eternally exist in. But we can't get there until we cultivate the consciousness that will have us understand that very plain and simple fact that we are of this nature. Okay, we're here, but we're just renting right now. I have a lease, and whenever that lease, I'm 75 now, so I'm coming to the end of my lease, and I should understand that and get serious about my sadhana so that I can remember at the time of death my position in relationship to Krishna. So, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Text 13, Krishna says, this is a very wonderful verse. As the embodied soul passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So here Krishna is saying in this particular verse, we all can recognize that we had different bodies, right? Over the course of time. You have baby pictures of yourself. You have baby pictures of your child. Maybe your child now is in their 30s or 40s, but you have those baby pictures. You remember the cute little bundle of joy, and now they're adults, you know, educated adults with their own family and their own children and their own set of karmic influences. And you witness all of that. So Krishna says in this verse, it's plain to see the changes that we've gone through. Even science says our body, the cells in our body are rejuvenating. They're dying off and new ones are coming. Now, depending on which part of the body, that dictates whether it's a quick rejuvenation or a slow rejuvenation. There's only a few parts of the body that doesn't have cell death and rejuvenation. Those are nerve ending, there are certain nerves in the brain. But everywhere else, in the belly, it's particularly quick. On the skin, it's very quick. In different places of the body. So the average, what they say now, the average is every 7 years, you have an entirely new body. You've shed all the cells, 98% of the cells that do die in a 7 year period on the average, they do die, and you get new cells. So what Krishna is saying here is you can see that logically. You could see when you were a baby, when you were 7 years old, when you were 14 years old. What a radical difference, right? From when you were a baby to seven, what a radical difference. Then when you're 7 to 14, oh my God, another radical difference. So much growth is there, development, mental, intellectual development, emotional development. And then from 14 to 21, and then we have the illusory time, 21, 28, kind of look the same, kind of have the same kind of energy. 28 to 35, yeah, we're still doing okay. 35 to 42, uh-oh, I'm starting to see some gray in my hair. At 42 to 49, uh-oh, I'm seeing some wrinkles in my eyes and around my mouth. We see the body changing. So what Krishna is saying here, as the embodied soul can view the changes. Similarly, he says, at the time of death, what is the time of death? Change. It's further change. That's all. Later on in the second chapter, Krishna will use the metaphor of changing of garments. Every evening, you take off the garments that you wore for the day. You may put on your pajamas, and then in the morning, you take off your pajamas and you put in a new set of garments. So, we, according to the day, we wear certain colors because the colors are in relationship to the planet. Like Moon Day is Monday, and Tuesday is Mars Day, and Wednesday is Mercury Day, Thursday is Jupiter Day. So each one of the days of the week is in relationship to a color. So on Monday you may wear a light color, white or light blue. Tuesday you may wear red. Wednesday you may wear green. Thursday yellow. Friday you may wear like a darker color. Saturday you can wear black or dark blue, and Sunday you wear the sun colors. So you have changes of garment over the course of the week. Krishna says the change of the body, just as you're changing bodies within this life, and it's perceivable, at the time of death, it's a change of body. And what determines what change that you go through? What determines is where your consciousness is at that critical moment. What are you thinking of? And what we should seriously consider is we should take inventory. What are we thinking of during the course of the day? What is consuming our thoughts during the course of the day? Does anybody take inventory on what they're doing, what they're thinking of in the course of the day? What did I think of this morning? What did I think of, in the early afternoon, late afternoon? What am I thinking of at night? What am I dreaming of? It's an interesting study to chronicle your thoughts. What are you thinking of? And if you put it into perspective of what Krishna is saying, we are developing by cultivation of various types of samskaras or impressions, which these mental impressions come as a result of how we're utilizing our senses, what we're interacting with during the course of the day. And that's reflected in your dreams, isn't it a fact? If you're meditating on something all day, maybe something at work, it may be a distressful exchange with your spouse or a friend or a co-worker, and how it consumes you. it can manifest itself again in your dreams. That's the power of remembrance. And that is why, Krishna gives us guidelines as to how we can uh, direct our life. That's why in Ayurveda, two main concerns. When an Ayurvedic doctor sees you, they have two concerns. One concern is, what are you eating? Because you are what you eat. And not only what are you eating, what time of the day are you eating? In what consciousness are you eating? What's the environment that you are eating in? All of these plays into your dietary situation. And what is their other concern? What is your lifestyle? How are you living your life? Well, my wife is a medical doctor. She licensed internal medicine and dermatology. So she acts as primary care physician. And sometimes people come to her and they say to her, I can't sleep at night. Doc, can you please give me something for insomnia? That's, where our society is at right now. Give me a quick pill, knock me out. So before she does anything, she says, well, let's answer a few questions for me. What time do you go to sleep at night? Oh, I remember my mom, she used to go to bed. She'd work all day. She worked at the Veterans Administration Hospital for 31 years in the psychiatric ward. She was an administrator in the psychiatric ward of the Veterans Administration Hospital. So, she'd work all day and then she'd come home and, she'd cook dinner and then, clean up and then she'd watch TV or do something and she wouldn't go to bed until 1 o'clock in the morning. So her mind was constantly being stimulated. So my wife would ask the patient who wants the sleeping pill, "Are you stimulating your mind?" Well, I go to bed at 1. What do you do up till I watch TV? Okay, blue screen stimulation. Do you drink coffee at a certain time? Yes, I do. Okay, caffeine stimulation. When do you eat? Oh, I have my last meal 7, 8 o'clock at night. Okay, what's the purpose of food into the body? It's to provide the body with nourishment and energy. So all the things in lifestyle, when you analyze your lifestyle, all of these things determine, what's going to happen to you. So it's the same thing. We should actually be really concerned about our lifestyle and, so many things which affect us and which will cause our contemplation, what we are thinking of at the time of death. Text 14. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Tolerance is what Krishna is saying here. Why? We go through so many things in life. What does he say? Happiness and distress. Some days we experience total elation. Our whole day is happy. Some days we're totally stressed out. We have to not succumb to the stressful days, not give in and just get so bent out of shape. But we have to tolerate and understand. If I remain dhira, if I remain steady, fixed, then these things are happening, but I understand that they're temporary. That's why Krishna uses the word non-permanent appearance. It's not permanent. You're not always, always, always happy. You're not always, always, always depressed, unless you're in a mental state that is causing that depression, and then you're diagnosable, and then you need to do something. And Krishna says, what is the value of the tolerance? Then next verse, he says that They're arising from your interaction with the outer world, and they must be tolerated. And the result of that tolerance, text 15, O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by these changing circumstances, happiness and distress, heat and cold. You're not disturbed by them, and you're steady, you remain steady or fixed or equipoised in both. What happened? You're eligible for liberation. That means you are eligible to understand the spiritual dimension of your existence. We have to qualify ourselves to be eligible to understand what is liberation and what is the path of liberation. And one of the qualifications that Krishna is giving us is tolerance, the ability to be tolerant. Text 16, one of my favorite verses, is remember, this is Sankhya Yoga. The analysis becomes our yoga. Analysis becomes the connection, yoga, link to who we really are as spirit soul and our connection to the supreme soul. So text 16 reads, those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. So those who have dedicated their lives to the Sankhya system to observe, what we're going through, the happiness, the distress, etc., and to become equipoised in lieu of all that is going on around us. When Krishna gives his definition of yoga in the second chapter, around the 48th verse, the word that he uses is equipoise. That's yoga. When we can become to a mindset, an equipoised mindset, stability, steadiness, these are synonymous with equipoised. When we can, while we're going through the elation or while we're going through the distress, we can still remain fixed in our determination. Then that means we are in yoga, yuktva. We're actually in the state of yoga. The seers of the truth have given us the benefit of their realizations and their meditations. And they have concluded by studying the nature of both. I'll read one more verse. And if you have any questions or comments or observations, please feel free to speak up. Text 17, that which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. So right in this verse, and then my teacher quotes another verse which is similar in nature from the Upanishads. And basically they are saying that the soul is an eternal spark of spiritual energies, full consciousness. And that consciousness, which is the energy of the soul, it's like soul is present in the region of the heart, consciousness is emanating to all parts of the body. That's why you have feeling in the tips of your toes, the tips of your finger, the top of your head, because awareness or consciousness is emanating from the soul to all parts of your body through the medium of the blood. The blood, through it, oxygen and the presence of awareness, brings this consciousness to all parts of our body. So Krishna is saying that which is pervading the entire body, That is you. Know this to be you, and not simply that which is being permeated. Okay, I'll stop here. Thank you so much for your kind attention, and I will open the floor to questions or comments, observations, realizations. Anyone would like to speak? Just speak up.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Joanna, right?
Yeah. That idea of equipoise. How do you
Right.
say it? Equipoise?
Yeah, equipoised. You kind of slur over the equipoised.
Equipoise. How do you not slip into indifference?
Ah, good question. Because being equipoised is sattvic, being indifferent is tamasic, and it's a matter of ignorance. So the way you avoid that kind of being lulled into indifference where you don't really care, you don't really give a damn, is through knowledge. That's why it's a real important aspect of yoga or the connective process or the methodology, however you want to define yoga, is to have it, that commitment to it, bolstered by the strength of knowledge. Because knowledge is indicative of sattvic and ignorance is indicative of tamasic. And tamasic, I don't care. I don't really care about it. But sattvic is you care, but you're not overwhelmed by the extremes. You're not overwhelmed by the extreme of depression, or you're not overwhelmed by the extreme of elation. You still you can remain steady in your consciousness, and that it's that steadiness that helps you see clearly in the times that you need to see clearly, in the times when you become susceptible to making bad choices. Does that make sense? Does that address your question?
No, I knew it was something similar to that, but I guess we attach to our emotional state in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah. Emotions are powerful, aren't they?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm,
Anger, anger is a powerful emotion. Now, you may objectively look at anger and say, "Oh, I don't want to be there." But what happens when you get angry?
mm.
And really, we all get angry, but what happens when you lose it? I mean, you really you throw a dish, or you do something like that's not you.
What's
You
interesting,
lose,
I think externally, people can appear poised, but internally, it's something I find it's because I work as a counselor, but I find
right?
it something very different. They're just um, subjugating their emotions. They're poised and they appear to be dealing with it, but when you really scratch at it, it's quite
Yeah, because they're suppressing it,
yeah.
and suppression has its breaking point. In other words, you can only suppress for a certain period of time, and then what happens? I've counseled extensively, not as a professional counselor, but as a spiritual counselor, because I've been in charge of ashrams and people moving in, changing their life, giving up their jobs, giving up whatever, whatever. So I've done an extensive amount of counseling, and I can immediately detect when someone is too perfect externally. You immediately know there's something going on there.
Yeah.
And even to this day, I come across people who are like always happy and this, and then all the, it just happened to me very, very recently. A person who I just got to know, and they always seem to be very happy. And then some wrinkle, I happened to be near them when that wrinkle occurred, and the change of expression and the inability to control it, even publicly. So suppression of emotions is not what we're looking for. It's to experience it, but not get attached to it. Not get attached to the the power of it, the power of anger, or even the power of depression.
Mhm.
It's not to get it's to experience it. You can't ignore it. But if you're equal poised, then you can kind of remain. The goal is to remain a little bit the objective observer of what's going on with you. Like
To
I
be
get angry.
observed,
I
to
can
be the
I can
observer of it.
exactly. Like sometimes people say, "Oh, you've been practicing yogi for 54 years, and you're getting angry right now." They would say that to my teacher also because he could get on fire if he wanted to. And but when someone is teaching, and that's what he would say, he said, you know, when you get angry at your child, right? You have children, right, Joanna?
Yeah, they're old.
They're old now,
They're
but
28 and 20, yeah, 26.
but you
Oh
when you
yeah.
remember
Oh
when they're
yeah.
growing, you got angry at them, right?
Oh yeah.
But what was the underlying reason?
Um, Probably fear, like they weren't listening and I was afraid for them that if they didn't do something or
And why were
maybe
you
even
afraid?
control, I wanted to control them or
But I think originally as a mother, it's born of love,
hmm, yeah,
you know? You
yeah.
you 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 are concerned for their well-being.
Mm,
The underlying emotion, there may be so many other psychic things going on there, like control and all of that. But I think the real core issue is that you're the mother.
mm,
Whether your perception of what's right or what's wrong for them is accurate or not,
mm,
especially in an individual case, that's another question. We're talking about basic motivation of a mother is love, and you get angry, right? A child's going to touch the stove, right? You know it's hot, especially nowadays. Especially here in Florida, a lot of the stoves are electric. So even when you turn the stove off, that face is hot. And you go see your child. You have a little child. That happened to my son once. He went to grab something that was hot. No, you slap their hand. You're not enjoying that, but you know that if you don't correct them, they're going to get burned and they're going to suffer. So that's what that's about, in terms of, so the indifference, tamasic, ignorant, without knowledge, and concern, sattvic, um, and then you were able to kind of be the objective observer, to have the ability. It may not happen at the time you're able to step back, right? It may come out, the anger may come out, but then 5 minutes later or 10 minutes later, you can pull it together and say, all right, maybe I shouldn't have reacted. And then you go to your child and you say, look, I'm sorry. I got so reactive on that particular issue. I'm sorry. And then you explain to them why, etc. Okay. Any other question or comment or observation? Anyone else? Okay, so I would like for you to, if you have the time, we left off at the second chapter, 17th verse. Maybe if you can go over the next series of verses, maybe the next 10 verses, and that may even prompt a question from you, regarding what Krishna means or why Krishna is saying this or etc. And we can discuss it at that point. Is that okay?
Yep.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your attention. It's so nice to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Victor,
Hare Krishna. Good night.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mahi,
Lakshmi.
thank you.
Thank
Haribo,
you.
Haribo,
That was wonderful. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Victor, your kirtan was
Good,
good
Brother
on
Lakshmi.
Saturday night? Huh?
Yes, yes. The drummer cried tears of joy, saying, "We've never sounded so well coalesced."
So what?
Well coalesced, just together, congealed, just
Oh,
so tight.
so you guys were together.
We were together. We practiced and everything. Thank you for asking. How was the love feast, Brother Lakshmi?
Usual ecstasy. It was really, really wonderful. Nishringi Dave led a nice kirtan. Again, he back-to-back ecstasies from Nishringi Dave. And Andrew was with us, and he did very, very nicely, and as usual. And I led kirtan. And it was good. It was really, and we had nice attendance. I was very grateful
Yes,
for the
I met with
evening.
some of the folks from the local ISKCON group. They were telling me how pleasant it was to have been with you on Saturday. We were at the Sartori Center on Sunday. I played Lakshman. I'll share a picture. Well, you were there.
I was there playing Vashishta Muni.
Yeah. So they all
Yeah,
told me
it
what,
was.
what a wonderful time they had.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was that whole presentation was amazing, really.
So I guess we'll see you
Kudos.
at the retreat on the 18th, right?
The retreat on the 18th. Where's that? I don't have my
Yes.
schedule before me.
9 to 1 p.m.
Oh, yeah. Are you going to be there?
That's the plan.
All right. Yeah, I encourage. It'll be really nice. I encourage, Trish, if you have the time, or Angelica. Yeah, it'll be. My wife's putting a lot into it. I think you guys will have a really good time. Okay, thanks so much.
Hare, Hare
We'll
Krishna.
see you. See you soon. For those of you on Thursday, our Thursday night kirtan.
Yeah.
We'll see you on Thursday night.
Yes.
Haribol.
Haribol.
Yeah.
Haribo.
Haribo, Haribo,
Bye,
Haribo.
guys.